Unfortunately, had a slight technical difficulty exactly like this, so please let me know, can you hear can you hear what I'm saying? Because I did a 15-minute video this morning all about Chelsea. You're gonna have to take my word for it. It was the best video I have ever done, but the sound stopped working a minute into the video. So people of the chat, can you please tell me if you can hear me? I'm not going any further. I'm not saying any more words until I know if people can hear me. Yes, streets. Thank you. Somebody has answered my question. So, hello, Rob, streets, guess. Nice to see you guys. But yeah, so basically, I'm going to take it from the top. Thank you, Mama. Good stuff. No, I needed to be sure because honestly, this morning was traumatizing. I was so pleased that when you do something and at the end of it, you're like, oh yeah, that was a good one. I enjoyed that. That felt like a good video. And then obviously, I don't watch myself back because it's cringy enough when I can see myself on a screen. It's even more cringy. Nobody likes cringy. Don't like it. So I definitely don't listen back to my own videos. It's not a thing unless like somebody says, "Oh, you said this," and then I have to go and check, did I say that? Because my memory's failing. So I just have to take people at their word or go check. But yes, so I was very disappointed. You're going to have to believe that you missed out on the best video I've ever done before this one, because obviously this one's going to be even better. But we are we are going to talk about Chelsea. Also, just shout out, thank you very much to the people that did tell me that the sound wasn't working, because they were like, your sound's not working on that video. And I was like, I'm watching it here, it's totally fine. And they were like, no, go about a minute in, waited, all of a sudden, sound is gone. Thank you, Robin Twisted, for letting me know. So I didn't just leave it up there with everybody being like, is it my sound? Is it her sound? Have we all collectively lost the plot? I mean, we might have collectively lost the plot, but not over my sound. So, Chelsea. Now, essentially, what I'm going to do is run through everything that I said this morning, and then you're actually going to be able to answer me. So, to be honest, this is probably better. It's just I don't like to interrupt people's pre Champions League routine. If you have one, obviously, I don't because my team's not in it. But I do have some leftover Chinese waiting for me after this stream. So, we're going to be finishing at 8 on the button. So, obviously, everybody knows the story of Chelsea, but we're just going to take it from the top. How did we get here? How did we get from the tip top, from Jose Mourinho, from all the excitement to fifth? It is fifth. Am I stealing? They're fifth, yes, behind Crystal Palace. Just checking. I'm not taking any extra spots off them. But yeah, obviously, because it's such a downfall, just absolutely brutal. How could anybody cope with that? But yes, so obviously there was the Roman Abramovich era. Well done, Lou, for being able to say his name, because genuinely, sometimes I can't get that word out. Obviously, then there was a little bit of mischief, we're going to call it. He was sanctioned by the UK government in March of 2022. He was all but forced to sell Chelsea. He did officially sell Chelsea to Todd Boehly and his consortium in May of 2022, which was 3.5 years ago. So many people are saying that Chelsea are now 3.5 years into their project. The problem with that statement is their manager isn't 3.5 years into the project. So I'm going to go through them and I'm going to have to literally read my list because they've had quite a few managers for 3.5 years, and I don't want to miss anybody. Hi, Twisted. Hi, Dave. Hi, everybody. Did I say guest? Sorry if I've missed everybody, but hello, 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 everybody that's joining. Thank you so much. Please remember to hit the like. Georgie, hello, my friend. But please do remember to hit the like button, people. It does let everybody know that you're enjoying the show. It lets YouTube know that you're enjoying the show. It'll tell more people this is an enjoyable show. Come join in. And that's what we want. So, after Todd Boehly took over, at the time Tuchel was the manager, he was then relieved of his duties in September of 2022, so he didn't last too long under Todd Boehly and his consortium. Then you had Graham Potter, who lasted 7 months until April 23. Then you had Frank Lampard from April till June 23, Pochettino July 23 to May 24, and then Enzo Maresca from July of 24 to present. Oh, it's a fake Georgie. Oh no, look at Madfoot. Hello, Madfoot. We haven't seen you in a little while, my friend. It is nice to see you around these parts. But yeah, so they've gone through quite a few managers. for 3.5 years. Enzo Maresca so far is the longest one. He has managed to last the longest that anybody has lasted so far under Todd Bowley, which is an achievement in and of itself. But obviously, then, can you say the project is 3.5 years old when the manager is only there since July of 24? So a year and a half, a season and a half. So I would say maybe you could argue, and maybe Chelsea fans are out there arguing this, that actually the project is only a year and a half old, not 3.5, which does make a bit of a difference when you're building something new. As I said earlier, they're currently sitting fifth. They're on 25 points. They are 1 point behind Crystal Palace. Yes, 1 point behind Crystal Palace. So, I mean, it's not diabolical. But I mean, it's lower than they were previously. So obviously, at one point, they were second. There was talks of a title race. They were going to go for it. This was Chelsea's year. It was time for this project to start producing. And to be fair, other than one specific Chelsea fan that I can think of, for the most part, it was rival fans saying that Chelsea were in a title race. Most Chelsea fans were like, no, we're not. Absolutely not. We aren't. We're not in a title race. Don't put that kind of pressure on us. So I do have to be fair to them in that sort of situation. They weren't screaming we're in a title race for the most part. There's always going to be a few, but for the most part, they were pretty feet on the ground and they were saying, no, we're not. But since this narrative was run, whether it's by the media, by social media, by YouTubers, by rival fans, by Chelsea fans, doesn't really matter. There was a narrative that Chelsea are going on the title charge. They're second in the league. This is their year. Arsenal capitulate every season anyway, so we're not even counting them. City were a wee bit up and down at the time. Liverpool had fallen off. So it must have been Chelsea's year. And this was what was going around. So now that they've only won, and I believe I'm going to be able to share this with you as people, so hold your breath. And if it all crashes down, I'll be back. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to push the button. Okay, we haven't crashed. We are A-okay. So as you can see here, Chelsea's last 5 matches, and we can see who they were against if I don't push the wrong button. So obviously they lost their last match. Now, this is obviously including the Champions League as well. So it's Champions League and it's all competitions, basically. So we know they lost against Atalanta, they drew to Bournemouth, they lost to Leeds, they drew to Arsenal, and they beat Barcelona. So out of their last 5 matches in all competitions, they've only won 1. Now, if we go just the Premier League, let's see. They drew, lost, drew, 1-1. Okay, so if we go the last 5 Premier League games, they've won 2. But in fairness, the opposition for those 2 were Wolves and Burnley, so I'm not sure that's really much of a defence when you're as high up the league as Chelsea. I mean, that's for the likes of my club, Manchester United. But so people are saying, oh my God, they've fallen off. They had a bit of a good run, but now we're seeing the real Chelsea. They've fallen apart. They were never really in a title race. We were the ones who said they were in a title race in the first place, not them. And actually, they're just not good enough. They're completely underperforming. Look at their squad. When is this project going to do something? And you're kind of starting to get the vibe off, because this is what has been leveled at Arteta and his 5, 6, 7-year project, and he's doing it this long and he needs to win the league, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And it feels like because this narrative was thrown so often at Arsenal, people are now starting to look at Chelsea and go, well, you've had a multi-year project. When is your project going to start doing things? We're looking at Arsenal, we're giving out about them, we're saying their project's not producing, but your project's not producing either. I mean, at what point are you going to stop being a business trying to make money selling young players and actually fight for the league, which is what you're supposed to be doing as a Premier League club? So people are getting quite into it. People are getting very, not emotional. They're getting quite, what's the word? What's a good word? They're getting very, not like enthusiastic. What's a different word for enthusiastic? People, tell me the word I'm thinking of. Not enthusiastic. They're like getting carried away. Anyway, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I don't really think that's the case, though. I actually think that's a wee bit nonsense, because I actually think you have to look at Was that ever actually the expectation for Chelsea? Did anybody ever actually expect Chelsea to win the league before it started? And the reason I ask that is because when we did our predictions at the start of the season, I said that. I said, okay, at what point is this project going to start producing anything? And to be fair, I did absolutely zero research before I made that statement. I just threw it out there. And I was like, surely they're going to do something this year. And so I can understand why people are saying that. But when you actually look at it, most people didn't expect Chelsea to fight for the league. Most people, when you said who's going to win the league this season, before the season started, they were talking about Liverpool, they were talking about City, and Arsenal fans were talking about Arsenal. So nobody expected Chelsea to win the league. People expected Chelsea to be generally in the Champions League spots, kind of third, fourth, fifth. That's what people expected for Chelsea. And at the moment, that's what they're tracking to do. So I don't see what the actual issue is. I actually think the whole thing's a bit of an exaggeration. I think the whole thing's a bit dramatic. And I do think, people fall into that, especially like that on social media, on the likes of YouTube, when you're doing content, when, fans get into it with each other, things just get blown out of proportion. I actually don't think they're underperforming that much at all. I think they're performing to exactly the point that people expected them to perform to. Also, we do have to look at the fact that they have injuries. And I've seen now, on is it Instagram? I think it's Instagram. There's an account, and I can't think. It might be Men in Blazers. Might be Men in Blazers. So I'm going to give them the credit because I'm pretty sure it could be them. But they're doing up like all of the different kind of injury lists of people. I think Romano might be doing it as well. There's a load of them. They're all doing it. But, this is how many injuries this team has. And I'm sure it was Fabrizio Romano tonight put out about all of the injuries that Arsenal have going into their match this evening. So it might have been him the other day that did it for Chelsea. It was one of them. And so at the moment they have, and now this isn't an extensive list. These are the names that I sort of picked out. So there's probably more. Liam Caldwell's currently out with an ACL, which obviously is in their defence. Palmer had been out for quite a long period of time. Obviously, a very, very important player for them, someone who's very creative, that helps them score goals and therefore helps them win matches. Very, very important. He obviously didn't play their match yesterday, the other day. Was it yesterday? Yes, yesterday. I watched it. Hello. So he obviously didn't even travel for that match because he has been out for such a long period of time. They want to ease him back in. Hello, Manchester United. Are you listening? Do it slowly. Don't break them completely. Take a bit of time with it. But eventually, they're hoping that he's going to get back up to speed, and that's obviously going to improve their first team lineup as well. But the one that sticks out the most, and I think Newcastle fans might relate to this segment of the show, one of the problems that Chelsea have faced this season is Liam Delap. He's a problem in and of himself because they bought a striker. He has been out. Then he came back and got himself suspended. Then he played a little bit, and now he's out injured again. And as you can see, I use SofaScore. Now, let me see if I can actually pull this up while we are live. Now, I'm really pushing the boat out here, lads. But let me see. Oh, yes, right. Let's have a look. Can you see him here? Let me see. Can I zoom in? That's not the zoom. Liam Delap. Okay. Injury, shoulder. Now, when I looked at that earlier, where has it gone to? It told me that he's out with an injury to his shoulder and he is not expected to be back until February. Now, I can't remember where I saw that. Injured, look, he was just injured, and in here he was suspended somewhere. He was injured again. Maybe they've revised that. At the time it did say February, but maybe they've revised that. Either way, here's another one which I found quite funny because people have been talking about Chelsea's discipline this season and, their problems with discipline, all the red cards they've been getting, which we are going to talk about in a minute. But in Liam Delap's weaknesses, well, first of all, he has no outstanding strengths. Isn't that what you want to see in your brand new striker? Sorry. No outstanding strengths. I mean, who wouldn't want to hear that about their new signing? But also, His weaknesses are ball control and discipline. I mean, if you were putting ingredients into a player for your opposition, I feel like this might be it. And I mean, obviously, this is just so far. It's not, it's everybody uses different sites, everybody has, like, different opinions. Some people might love him, but genuinely, that's like, even look at his scores for the matches he did manage to play some minutes. 5.2, that's out of 10 people. Just let us know that's out of 10, that's not out of 6. Um, Mustafa, I have mentioned Todd Bowley several times at the start of the video and his consortium, so maybe you missed that part, rewind. Um, but yeah, so Liam Delap, 5.2, 6.6, red and orange are bad, essentially. So he was very good, apparently, against Barcelona, but is now injured. So my thing is, obviously in the summer, it was Manchester United and Chelsea who were interested in Liam Delap. Chelsea got him. And I would just like to say that I am absolutely over the moon that Chelsea got him. Because whatever you want to say about Sesko, I think he's better than Liam Delap. And I know he's injured at the moment, but overall, I feel like he's given us more than Liam Delap, and he's certainly not running out there getting himself suspended after being off injured for a long period. So if those are my options, I would pick Sesko all over again. If I had other options, I would pick a more experienced, proven striker, but that is not the case. But I just think between injuries, indisciplined players, and all the different things that are going on, I do think expecting Chelsea to challenge for the title this season is probably a bit premature. What I would say is by the time we start next season, Maresca will have had 2 full seasons at the club. And some of these players, they're not young anymore. They're getting to kind of their sort of early mid-20s. And that's really when we expect footballers to be sort of hitting their peak these days. So I think probably next season, I would expect them to be starting to put some things together. Now, I've gone on and on and on there. So I'm going to get in, read some of your comments, and then I'm going to waffle a little bit more. But I feel like I haven't talked to you enough. We're all in this room together, and I'm left out because you are all chatting, and I'm just waffling away here talking about Chelsea and Liam bloody Delap. No offense, Liam, but I'm glad you went to Chelsea. So let's go. Have I missed anybody coming in? I want to make sure I get all of the hellos. Dun, 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 dun. Let me see. Oh, you're gone. Okay. Oh, we said hello to Madfoot. Streets is talking about Guahi to United. Madness. Streets, you be careful. That Twisted's a lunatic. You just don't look at his player as our manager. I've made that mistake before. And Madfoot saying hi to Flossie. Everybody saying hello to each other. Guesses in yes, Newcastle play at Leverkusen. I think that's going to be a very, very good match. 100%. I think that is going to be good. I just don't want to butt into anyone's conversations. I want to read things out that are like, part of the show. I mean, it's not. Yous are all welcome to chat with, or yous lovely people. But I mean, Rob is being mean to Chelsea fans who think that they're the world champions. I mean, technically, they are the world champions. Actually, very good point, Rob. Excellent point. Clever boy, gold star. So, I did a video around the international break. I can't remember if it was at the start or the end, but I did a video about the international break. And I said, keep your eyes peeled. International break is going to affect the players. We've already had 3 in 3 months. It affects the body. There's all the travel. They get tired, so on and so on. But what also would affect players is when they're playing in a tournament throughout the summer and therefore don't actually have any real time off in the summer, which means they're going into the season already tired. They've had no downtime. And you see it after, like, when there's a summer tournament, it's even more evident when only certain teams played in said tournament. So if kind of one team played and all the teams around them didn't, it's going to affect that team because they're going to feel fatigued. And that was something that I saw a lot of people saying about Chelsea after the match against Atalanta was that the players looked tired. Some people said they looked like they couldn't be bothered. Other people said they looked tired, they looked lethargic, they looked like they just didn't have the energy in them. And I do think that the Club World Cup, while they are now champions of the world, may have impacted their actual season. Um, so yeah, very, very, very good point, Rob. Eh, Twisted said there's nothing wrong with being a bridesmaid. Well, Twisted, you tell that to all the Arsenal fans because I'm not getting into that debate with them. Uh, let me see. Um, Twisted thinks we will get top four. Twisted, I hope you are right, my friend. Madford is saying, I think with the general public, Chelsea were kind of in and around fourth. I agree with you. I think that was the general assumption for Chelsea. And I think then certain people got carried away, certain people had some narrative. And now I actually think some of those people, not all of them, some of those people were rivals who purposely actually started that narrative. So when they fell away, they could say, ha ha, you're not in the title race anymore. And exactly what we're seeing now, which to be honest, as I said, I actually just think it's a wee bit dramatic. I don't think they were ever in a title race to be out of it. I don't think they ever expected to be in a title race to be out of it. And actually, as far as their planning, I don't think they planned as a club to be in a title race this season. So I think they're not even underperforming their own goals, which is really the most important part. Because if they're on track in their project or what they're planning to do, then I don't think we can say they're underperforming if they're meeting their own goals. Now, if their goal this season was to be part of the title race and they're not, given how badly some of the other teams are doing, I do think it's a lost opportunity. And at that point, I would say they're underperforming. I just think we're a season early. Um, let me see. Delap has now become a wrestler. He's become anything but on the pitch. And frankly, we have enough of those players at Manchester United. We did not need another one. And I'm not even speaking about his ability at all, because frankly, I haven't seen anything of his ability because he's never on the pitch. So honestly, I just feel like certainly for our situation, it um it was a good one to miss. And Huge has joined the chat. Hello, Huge. And I see Desiree as well. Desiree, I'm going to get to that question. Do stick around. I see it there. I'm working my way down the chat. I have these on two different screens, but I'm actually going to get to that. So do stick around for that one. Um, what is everyone's opinion on Wharton and Anderson going to Chelsea? They're interested in both from reports. So was Manchester United. So was probably half of the Premier League. I find the transfer window rumours tiresome before the Premier League or before the transfer window was actually opened. Now, when we're getting close, when we're kind of the few weeks before it, I can kind of understand it because that's when the agents are all starting to talk to each other. But I find, see now when there's actual football and there's actual games, and then we're talking about transfers that aren't going to happen. If even if they're going to happen, they're not going to happen for like a month minimum. I'm like, oh, I hate waiting. I'm like, just get it. Let me get there. I'll get excited when it happens. Now, it's not that I won't talk about it or anything, but I just don't like getting my hopes built up for something that's just maybe not going to happen. And I do think at the moment it's very, very sort of loose rumours because, as I said, both of these players are also linked to Manchester United. I would obviously like to think we'll get them, but that's not always the case because some players want to go, some players, the history and kind of the standing of a club matters. Some players, they prefer current form. Some players, it's like where they live. A lot of the players, when they're younger, they speak to their families. There's a lot of different factors that goes into it. Obviously, maybe who they support as they're growing up as well. And I think they're both very, very good players. And I think whichever team gets them, I think they will be a great addition. Um, but I just find the reports at the moment, they put things out there to see kind of what gets a bit of traction, I personally think. But maybe I'm just being a bit too skeptical. And there you go. Mama Flossie, City are also interested in Anderson, and he's happy to go there. That's what the City fans are saying. And I don't think any of the fans are incorrect. I think all of these stories are being put out there, being quite honest with you. I've already answered Mustafa, who didn't hear this section on Todd Bowley. Hopefully he was able to catch the start of the video now. Um, Rob Always United says Chelsea fans were led into a false sense of security after they beat a tired PSG. Possibly. As I said though, I saw some Chelsea fans getting carried away, and I will never criticise a fan for getting carried away because the bad times are bad. So when the good times, you have to enjoy them. You have to let them roll. So I'm never going to criticise that. But I have to say, from what I saw, it was primarily rival fans that were pushing them up. And I think they were pushing them up to be able to pull them back down again for some of the fans that did get carried away. I mean, if Manchester United went to beat PSG, I wouldn't care if the 9 men and one of them lost a leg. I mean, I'd feel sorry about his leg, but I mean, I'd still celebrate it. I'd still be buzzing and think we were unreal. Now, reality would hit eventually, but I mean, I think sometimes you have to let fans fan. And I do think that's something that happens here on like football YouTube, football social media. We're all pundits, we're all analysts, we're all very serious. We know what we're talking about, and nobody's ever wrong. And I just think, you know what, though? We're not. We're just fans. And you have to let fans be fans. You have to be disappointed. You have to be excited. You have to be deluded. You have to be a bit like, do you know what I mean? I just think sometimes we try and put this persona out there on the internet for the people to see. And sometimes you just have to be a fan. Do you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, look, I definitely think some Chelsea fans probably were led into a false sense of security. And when you go up, up, up on the high and then you come back down, sometimes, it's a much harder fall. Isn't that what they say? The higher you go, the harder you fall. Something like that anyway. Um, Board Dave Foy reckons that United have no chance. So there's me crying myself to sleep at night. Um, um, oh, okay. So Dave Foy saying, as a Geordie, Newcastle definitely have more of a chance of signing him. Let me see. Um, do, do, do. What else? What else? What else he is all saying to me? Yes. So we've gotten to Desiree's comment, and welcome, Desiree, because you are new to the chat. So I hope you have subscribed. Please do, get involved in the conversation. Everybody here is very, very nice. Do I believe in projects? Yes, is the answer. Some of you will know, some of you won't know. I have a background in HR. I have a background in a lot of things. I've done sales, I've done bar work, I've worked in bookmakers for many, many years. But also I worked in HR for a number of years, and I actually, believe it or not, with my technical ability, I designed the online training system, the online training management system for every staff member that joined the company. I did all of the performance reviews. I did all of the kind of performance improvement plans that needed to be done. And so maybe I am very biased by the work that I have done in that area. But yes, I do believe in projects. What I don't believe in projects that don't have an end. And for me, I think projects need to be measurable, they need to be clear, and they need to be timed. So, as I said earlier about Chelsea, if Chelsea have this project, which I assume they do, and they say, okay, by year one, this is what we want to achieve. By year two, this is what we want to achieve. By year three, this is what we want to achieve. And they're meeting those goals, they're measurable goals, and they're meeting those goals at the time they plan to meet them, then I would consider that to be a successful project because they're meeting their goals, they're easily measurable. It's not like it's a very grey goal and they're saying, okay, well, we think we've hit it. So if they say, okay, by year two, we want to be finishing in the Champions League. By year three, we want to be challenging for the title. By year four, we want to have won the title. By year five, we want to have won the title and be challenging for a Champions League. Just as examples. Then you can easily measure, okay, have we hit the goal? Have we hit the goal within the time frame we set for ourselves? I think that's important. And obviously, there'll be lots of sub goals. There'll be, are we making enough revenue? Are we turning over enough players? Are we finding enough good players for this model of recruitment to be considered successful? And so on and so on. So there'll be lots of different things. But yes, in a general sense, I believe in projects, but not every project works out. And I think that's where people are getting to with Arsenal is Generally, I don't think people necessarily have a problem with projects. People get sick of hearing the same stuff over and over and over again. Like, if you keep saying the same thing, if you keep hearing the same thing, if it's the same thing every season, I think that's what people develop a problem with because they're like, well, you keep telling us there's a project, you keep telling us we're going to improve. So, what I would like to know is when they made their project for Arsenal, and I assume Arteta was included, as part of the project, they will have in their project, okay, by X year of this project, we want to have won the league. I would be very curious of what the time frame on that goal was, because it definitely would have been in there. So I believe in projects, but projects can fail. And when you've invested a certain amount of time and energy into a project, if they fail, then it can be very difficult to let go because you've already invested so much. Sometimes it's harder to let go than it is to hold on. But maybe Arsenal understood the level of restructuring that was required in their squad because they really did, as a squad and as a team, they really had to strip back. They got like even like Aubameyang and like they had to go through a lot. So maybe they were realistic about their project. Maybe they sat and said, look, this project is going to take a number of years. If it happens earlier than that, great. But we understand that this is going to take time and we are not going to lose the plot or panic because it's taken longer than people on the outside expected, because we understand how many steps are involved in this process. I think the problem is the word. People get sick of hearing it. I hate the word agenda. I use it occasionally, but I think people get bored of it. Like when you use the word agenda interchangeably with opinion, it drives me mental to the point where when anybody says the word agenda, I'm like, shut up. I don't want to hear it. Shut up. Because if, for example, Mama Flossie came in and said, Louise, I hate that colour. It's a horrible colour. I'd be like, you have an agenda against that colour. No, maybe she just doesn't like red. Maybe it's not her colour. Maybe she prefers like green. But people mistake like her opinion on this colour for like an agenda, maybe against me, maybe she hates me, maybe she doesn't even like have a problem with the colour red, but she dislikes me so much. She's gonna say she hates the colour red just to prove the point. She's an agenda not only against the colour red, but against me. Spill the tea, Lou. Obviously, me and Mama Flossie are good friends. That's not the case, but I just think sometimes people express an opinion, and if we disagree with it, it's not that we just have differing opinions, it's because they have an agenda and they're mental. And I just don't have time for that kind of drama. Like, honest to God, like anyone who went to like a school with other girls in teenage years, maybe you went to mixed school, maybe you went to an all girls school, I don't know, maybe some of you went to an all boys school, you just won't know what I'm talking about. But genuinely, like the level of pettiness and one-upmanship that I see on football, like social media, I did not see amongst groups of teenage girls. It is the most like I've never had my eyes opened more to something than the drama of football social media. I have never in my life, and I'm a part of it, so I'm not criticizing any individual, but I have never seen anything like it. We are all grown adults. And sometimes we just completely forget that. So I think it's highly amusing sometimes. And sorry, Desiree, I hope I'm saying your name right, first of all. Second of all, I hope I answered your question because I did go off on a bit of a tangent there. Um, about agendas and the color red, obviously. So, dun, dun, dun. Huge said hello to everybody. Nice to see you back in the chat, by the way. You missed us for a few, so it is nice to see you back. He said we should have a free run at them. Arsenal, Chelsea, and Liverpool don't need midfielders, and City still have Rodri. Well, do you know what? I hope you're right because we could do with a wee bit of luck, couldn't we? I think it's maybe 80% hard work, 20% just a bit of luck. Sometimes you need it. Um, and twisted, yeah, not every project goes according to plan. So you're going to need contingencies. You're going to need if you get to a crossroads in your project and you say, okay, we haven't hit the target we were supposed to hit, we're not, or we have hit the target, but we're not on the timeline that we plan to be on, you need to reassess your project, the rest of the goal, and say, okay, do we still think that this project is achievable? Do we still think that this project is workable? Do we feel that maybe it's already reached the end of its life cycle? You reassess, and that's why you measure. Your goals are measurable, so you can then measure them. I don't know if anybody has ever heard of like SMART goals. Did you learn about that in school? Let me see. Can I get this up? SMART. Um, I'm sure this is right. Aha, aha. Okay. Can I make this bigger? Lads, honestly, you don't understand how proud of myself I am right now that I am able to do this. Right. Let me see. This is literally, I have a business degree. I don't know if you know that. I have a business degree, okay? I learned about this in school, and honestly, all of my life. It is the most important thing any teacher or any lecturer has ever taught me. It's so important and it's so good. So let me haha, I'm a genius. I have mastered technology. I have not mastered the word though. I haven't mastered the ability to speak. So goals should be specific. So, what is the target? Measurable. Has it been achieved or not? Can you say yes or no? No grey areas, please. Achievable. So, again, when we talk about Chelsea, was it achievable for them to win the Premier League this season? I would think not, but was it achievable? Is it relevant? So, I mean, when we're talking about clubs who have who are interested, obviously as a business, they need to have certain levels of revenue. They need to stay within the financial rules and all the rest of it, PSR and everything. But I mean, if your goal is to win the league, how relevant is, like your ticket prices, for example? So the goals that you're setting in on your targets need to be relevant to your actual end goal for the project and time bound. I think I've talked enough about time bound. So this is what I've been babbling about. It's called a SMART plan or a SMART goal, and I love it. Sorry if I'm boring everyone to death, but genuinely, I don't know if you can tell, this stuff actually makes me very excited. I'm such a big geek. I'm such a big geek. Is the right word for nerd? I don't even know what words I'm allowed to say anymore. But I love it, love all this stuff. I'm actually just such a big dork. Dork's a good word because that covers everything. Big dork. That's me. Self. So look at we are so in sync. Yous are all absolutely unbelievable. Look how in sync we are. Huge said this before I ever put anything on the screen. He read it from my mind, people. They need to have achievable, the A in our SMART plan, step by step plans, and can also vary depending on circumstances. That's what we're talking about, reassessing things. Absolutely brilliant comment. Good job. Gold stars for everybody. Let me see. Does the big mic change color? Not that I'm aware of. And I mean, honestly, Twisted, I'm not sure I'm prepared to touch anything to see if it might. I don't think so. I've never seen it be a color other than red. I think it just does red, which, to be fair, considering I'm Manchester United, that's probably okay. Um, Let me see. What else have you lot been saying? Well, I've been getting all technical whiz. Um, Dave Boy says in the past, big teams have been the likes of Huddersfield, Preston, Wolves, and others with all the money in the game. Now, will the so-called Big Six ever fall away? Do you know what? I actually think this season is the biggest evidence yet that the traditional so-called Big Six is going to fall out of existence. Like, let's even just imagine Newcastle. Newcastle aren't in it, but I mean, I think Newcastle are as big as Spurs. Easy. Like, I don't see any difference. So, like, yeah, I do. I think sometimes when you're in the situation and it's become your everyday and your norm, you feel like it's never going to change, but change always comes. Change always comes, and generally when we're not expecting it. So yeah, I do. I think I don't think there is. I would argue even now there's not necessarily a big 6. It depends how people measure it, but I think this season shows the big 6 is about to crumble. It's about to crumble. Um, Rob, as a United fan, the word project makes me cringe, and I think that's fair, and I think that's what happens for a lot of people. It's what you associate the word project with, and I think that becomes the problem then. Completely agree. Desiree has come back to us. Again, please let me know if I'm saying your name wrong. I hope that's right. Personally, I don't believe in projects. Every season is a new chance to win it. Never seen projects win in the league. Projects are just excuses. Desiree, who is your team? Who are you a fan of? If you're still here, let me know because I'd be very curious. Because as I said, I think your opinion on the matter, and not just you personally, but everybody's opinion on the matter is informed by their own situation, the situation of the club. Like we see Rob Alwood United there because of the situation at United. He's not interested in the word project. I would say if you asked a lot of Arsenal fans, maybe they wouldn't like the word project anymore either because they've heard it so many times. Maybe Chelsea, if things don't go according to plan, they might start disliking the word project. Um, so yeah, I'd just be very curious who your team is because I want to match it up with your opinion. But I totally understand where you're coming from. As I said, I'm very biased by my experience and my work. Do you know what I mean? But I do totally understand. Everybody starts the season at 0 points. Everybody theoretically has an equal chance of winning the league, depending on their personnel. And again, like we've seen Sunderland, we see Crystal Palace at the moment, we see Aston Villa at the moment. And I think again, they're great examples of, you don't have to have all the money in the world. You don't have to have a Haaland. You don't have to have, all of these millions and these big, massive personality players. Sometimes the sort of what is that phrase? The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. I think that's the right phrase. Basically, if you put all the pieces together, the team might be greater than all the individuals in it. And I think we saw that actually at PSG since we talked about them earlier. When you take all the superstars, just because they're all the best players doesn't actually mean they are going to forge the best team because they actually work the best together. So yeah, I do understand where you're coming from. And it's not that I wholeheartedly disagree with it. I just come at it from a different angle. But I definitely think there are a lot of people out there that feel the same as you. And I think maybe because clubs that are failing or that are underachieving or underperforming, they come out with this, oh, well, it's a project. We're only in year one, we're only in year two. And it annoys people because it's disingenuous and that puts people off it. I totally understand why that rubs people up the wrong way. Just 100%. Mama Flossie showing us why she's a mod. Hit the like, people. It is nice to have so many of you here on a Wednesday. Ooh. Let me see. Excuse me, I need to cough. That was not something that you all wanted to hear. Trust me. Dave is asking about Rob's project with his friend from the United stand. Uh, let me see. Huge is saying United did the same thing last season as Arsenal did. We stripped a lot, tried a lot of young players to see if they fit the plans. Totally agree. I actually think we're just really at the beginning. Um, I don't want to make it a United show because I've done so many videos on United. Um, but even if Amram is not the guy, the next guy will still need to keep working on the project because it's not a finished project. So more work needs to be done. Um, let me see. Is this about the color red? Yeah, she has confessed. Can everybody see it? Mama Flossie has an agenda against the color red. It's because her team is a monochrome. She doesn't like colors. That's what it is. Um, let me see. Madfoot and Guess making friends. Everybody congratulating me. I'm assuming that was on my technical capabilities, being able to get things on the screen. I'm actually so pleased with myself. Answered that. Let me see. It's a big girl, Mike. No messing around tonight. Madfoot, no messing around tonight. Don't fight with me today. Let me see. Troubleshooting, let me see. Okay. No, Huge. Huge is on fire tonight. We had Rob Ladd the other night. Tonight, Huge says everybody's on fire. I just love you. You're all great. So Huge says, I believe an extremely well-run team for a 5-year period can disrupt the top teams. Oh, so this was back to whether we think the traditional top six is going to last. However, it is very hard to do, and only a team or two will likely drop out over the next couple of decades. So I agree with that for the most part. I think it does have to be an extremely well-run team. I do think it has to be over kind of a several year period. Otherwise, it's just going to be considered a blip or a 1 year sort of anomaly. I don't know if it's going to take decades. I think over the next decade is probably what I would say, but we're not too far apart on that one. Guess also a United fan. Yes, project is a bit cringy. Lads, everybody hates the word project as much as I hate the word agenda. It's actually really funny. I don't mind the word project. Again, I do think that's very much informed by my work. It's not a word that really annoys me. It's a word I use quite a lot. So sorry guys. But I do. I hate the word agenda. So I understand. Um oh yes, I mentioned Sunderland. Sorry, Flossie. And what else? What else are you saying to me? Desiree is back. Desiree is Chelsea. Okay, so this is very relevant to you. Fair. I never understood the Big Six thing. Previously, it was Big Four, then City and Spurs came. I guess it's the rivalry of the fans, but that can change with time. So, thank you for coming back to us, Desiree. Good to know that you're a Spurs fan because it's really interesting because as you can see here, a lot of the United fans are not happy about the use of the word project. It's not for them. Again, I do think maybe Arsenal fans are probably starting to feel the same way. I can understand as a Chelsea fan why you might not like that. Um, yeah, I do. I understand why people don't like it. As I said, it's a word I use a lot, so I don't have an agenda against the word. But I understand why people don't like it because I do think it can be used to make excuses. What I would, as I said, I don't think yous are underperforming this season. I think yous are probably, if you finish in the Champions League spots, probably fourth, maybe even third. I think yous are on track with your process, since I won't use the word project. But I do think next season your ownership will have been in place 4 years. Your manager will have been in place 2 full seasons. Your kind of more experienced players will be coming of age. You have the likes of Cole Palmer, who's hopefully going to stay fit. You have the likes of Garnacho. And I know Garnacho was a mixed bag when he went to Chelsea. Some Chelsea fans were really happy about him. Some not so much. Some didn't want him. Obviously, Manchester United fans are very divided on him. What I said at the time is Garnacho is a very talented player. Generally, the issue with him was his attitude, the people he surrounded himself with, maybe a bit of ego, not necessarily his talent. And if he was working under a manager who could sort of rein him in a bit and, put him back in his box and kind of restart his development really that he didn't get at Manchester United and sort of guide him in the right way, I thought he could be quite a key part for you guys. And what I will say is certainly as a United fan, I always felt that he was better coming on as a substitute, maybe in the kind of 60th, 65th minute, because he's very fast. He creates a lot of trouble. He can get behind the lines. He can cross when he chooses to do so as well. And putting him on against players that are a little bit more tired, he's really, really effective. So I think he can add. But the reason I've got on to Garnacho is he is, I don't like the phrase primarily proven because I feel like to be proven, you have to have proven something. You have to have actually done something. What I would say, he's Premier League experienced. He understands the league. He understands the media and the attention that comes with that league. He understands the pressure of that. He knows the referees because we always talk about it between VAR and the referee on the pitch. They influence the games with their decisions. And I think when you have a read, because obviously each referee has different personalities, they respond differently to different things. When you have a read on the referees, what they like and don't like, kind of what they'll card you for, what they're more lenient on for each individual referee, I actually think that gives you an opportunity in the league as well. So I think Garnacho, when he moves to Chelsea, even though he's a younger player, he brings a lot of experience in the league and I think that adds a lot to your team as well. And I think you've a number of players like that, that because you're bringing them in so young, by the next season, they'll be Premier League experienced, which I think is priceless, to be honest with you. And then you've the likes of Estevao and like really young talent, like really, really good players coming through. So I think for me, next year will be the season for you guys. But yeah, the big four to the big six, I think eventually it's just going to be the big Premier League because honestly, it's too competitive. Every season, we say the league is more competitive. This has to be the most competitive league we've seen in ages. Really long time. I'm loving it. But if it gets more and more and more competitive like this, then how can there possibly be a big six or a big four? Because everybody's taking points of everybody. Everybody's losing to everybody. Everybody is capable of beating everybody. And if that's the case on a consistent basis, then I just don't think you can have a big six. I don't think it can exist. Um, but yeah, I do think at the moment it's primarily around revenue, around history, around kind of global fan base, that kind of thing. So I do think that comes into it. Twisted. You always have a question for me. You've always a good question now, Twisted. Is Villa and Palace being currently in the top four proof that the Premier League is only competitive due to the lack of real quality? I would argue it the other way. I don't think Villa and Palace being in the top four is proof of a lack of quality kind of in the teams that are traditionally at the top. I actually think it shows an improvement of overall quality in the league so that the teams that were traditionally sort of in the middle, because we generally had the top block who kind of interchanged amongst themselves, then we had the middle block that sort of interchanged amongst themselves, and then you would your three up and three down. What I think with the sort of middle teams going into the top there, I actually think it shows that the quality within that middle section has drastically improved, and that actually the competitiveness is due to an increase in real quality, I think. And don't knock yourself. I think, Villa had a tough start to the season, but I think both Villa and Palace at the moment are playing some good stuff, and I think you've both got really good managers, you've both got some good players, and what I was saying earlier about the whole being better than the sum of the parts, the team being better than individual superstars just all stuck on a pitch together. I actually think Villa and Palace are a really good example of that. So I think you are doing well, and I think you're there on merit, and I don't think you're there because other people are doing terribly. I think other people look like they're doing terribly or doing worse because this middle block of team have actually increased their quality in a way that those teams didn't plan for or expect. I see our Ash has dropped in. Ash is going to be live with me tomorrow, folks, at 7 p.m. We're going to be back in the house. So he will be up here on the screen with me and not in the comments with you guys. So enjoy it while you're there. Um, Let me see, what have we got? Huge is saying, I think United are a little ahead of schedule if you think about it. If a few reasonable and expected results went our way, Everton and West Ham at home. Bruno, yes, if Bruno had scored some of the penalties that he missed at the start of the season, we would be up there. And I agree. But also, so I'm going to argue with myself. I agree with you. If our team didn't take the foot off the gas and turned up against the smaller teams and got points that they should be getting, not that we deserved, but that they should be getting, if Bruno, the captain, the leader on the pitch, the man of the moment, had scored his penalties, we could be up there. What I would say, shoulda, woulda, coulda. We didn't. And we didn't because this improvement is still needed. So I agree with you, but I don't think we can live by that because if we had sold Bruno in the summer, we could already have a new midfielder, and then maybe we won all those games. Maybe that person was an unreal penalty taker, and we don't know about it yet. So yeah, I agree with you, but I think the fact that we didn't win those is exactly the problem. Um, Let me see. Or Dave Boy, you've been quiet this evening. Are you in the pub? Board Dave Boy says, I don't mind the word project, but you need to see light at the end of the tunnel, and that's where we say measurable and timed. You can't just have an endless project. But I still feel someone has switched our lights off for good under this ownership. And there you get the contrast of supporting Manchester United. Madrid City, 9 minutes in when you put this comment, 4 minutes, lads, we 4 minutes, and then we have to go. I'm going to end the stream. Whatever is happening in 4 minutes, I am clicking end stream. So make sure you've pressed the like button before that happens. And tell all your friends, share the video, all that good stuff. Subscribe. But yes, I was going to ask who everyone's backing for that, how everybody's feeling, but there's Mama Flossie telling me Hala Madrid. Guess in the chat is a Madrid fan. I did see the other team. Remember, I said earlier that Fabrizio put up the list of all of the injured players for Arsenal. He also did that for Madrid, and there was a number. There was a number of them. So I hope Madrid win. But was it? Guess you'll be able to tell me. Was it 3 red cards they got the other night? Because it was just a madness, and they've got a list as long as my arm of injuries. So I hope they beat City because honestly, a City, their steam train gets started, and once it starts choo-chooing, honestly, nobody wants that. So I hope Real Madrid just, you know, Ash arrived. Thank you, Ash. Do you like my cardigan? It's red. How do you feel about the colour red as a fellow Newcastle fan of our Flossie? Ash isn't going to get the joke. But either way, let me know what you think of the colour red. We're all waiting. Everybody's saying evening. Don't big twist it up too much. I'll do my best. I know. We'll have to keep him in check. He's a bit mad, that fella. Huge agrees with me. Shock, because we're so in sync tonight. The quality of the league is at an all-time high. Yes, it is, and it's very spread. Yes, it is. And when we talk about projects, and things that can impact or make our project. So I might have a project, but I might not factor in something else, like all of the other teams improving, and that's going to impact my project. So you have to make contingencies for that. So yeah, the amount of Prem teams which can compete with the top teams in Europe is crazy. Isn't it just? And we're about to see some of it in 2 minutes. Right. Okay. What else is happening? Ash, I'm doing just fine. Big clubs talk of long-term projects. It's secondary to instant results. It's a demanding business where patience is irrelevant. Desiree, on point. She's sick of waiting. No more patience. I wasn't born with patience. I was absent the day that was handed out. I have exactly 0 patience. So I'm not going to give out about anyone. Guess with the links. Guess loves the link. Do please go and subscribe to Ash NUFC. He's very good. We quite like him. Go and say hi to him. Let me see, was there anything else? Everybody seems to be going for Twisted. Twisted likes to be the outlier. He loves to be an outlier. But everybody else, I'm sure, yes, guess is Madrid. Everybody's Madrid. Right, lads, time to go. Early starting. Ash, the red and white is Manchester United. I'm not ashamed of anything. Ash is Ash. Ash, sorry, I was going. Ash, what are you doing to me, man? Lads, Ash is banned. I might not. I'm on the stream tomorrow. Okie dokes. Good night, everybody. Have a lovely evening. Enjoy the football. We will see you back here tomorrow, 7 p.m. And, big up. Yes, go watch Hassam. Hassam is going live. He's going to have a watch along. I'm going to be in the chat. Do go see John Hassam. Tell him I sent all 12 of you there because I'm unreal. Tell him he's a fraud from me. Catch us all later, folks. Have a lovely evening and enjoy yourselves. Take care and mind yourself. You're more than halfway through the week. It's nearly the weekend.